Johnson, and I'm the Director of Community of Champions. As most of you know, Community of Champions is an advocacy program that's funded through the Governor's Council on Developmental Disabilities, and it's powered through Friendship Community Care. We have a mission to turn every Arkansan into an advocate for individuals with developmental disabilities. We strive to educate, inspire, and empower peer advocates, self-advocates, and state leaders to really understand the importance behind advocacy and how it brings our communities closer together, growing our state to its maximum potential. But we understand to be a strong advocate, you must have strong resources. So we want to bring you the resources that you need to nourish your mind and be a vital champion. So buckle up, because it's time for Food for Thought Friday. Hi everyone, sorry we're late. We had some technical difficulties, but we're so happy to be here with you now. Thanks for tuning in with us. We are going to bring you some resources today about getting involved with some extracurricular activities in your community. Courtney, thank you so much for tuning in with us.
Thank you, Allie. The technical difficulties were on my end. This is a new software. I've done a million Zoom calls, but sorry we were late.
Well, I am excited to have Mr. Will with us also. He's going to make sure that this episode is very accessible to everyone, because we want to make sure that everyone can get involved with what you have going on. I know that you have a bachelor's and a master's, and you are actually in distribution, if that's correct.
Yes, before I came to work with Community Connections, I had gone to graduate school and I was working in distribution management for Target.
Okay.
Totally a field. I never really thought that I wanted to work for a nonprofit organization and really had no idea I would ever be working with the intellectual or developmental disability community. But then I had a son, Alex, who is now 12, who was born with a chromosome deletion. And I feel like the Lord led me through his journey to the need for services for, this population of kids, especially Arkansans. So I left corporate world. Today I'm really thankful for it. I think my friends at the DC are working overtime right now in this global pandemic, but I came to work with Community Connections 11 years ago, kind of inspired by my son Alex, but that's what I did in my previous life.
I guess it's really easy to take that leap of faith when your heart's in it like that.
Absolutely. I mean, totally personally motivated. And I'm sure lots of people are like that, based on their own personal, experiences, influence, they see a need. I've told lots of people before I had my son Alex, I don't know that we really knew anyone that had kids with any kind of special needs. And I know now that they were out there, they just weren't in our sphere of influence. The folks that we knew from church and the community, didn't have these kids' community connections. The mission is still today the same as it was when it started, which was to provide quality extracurricular activities for children with special needs and support for their families. And so my son Alex was almost 2 when I kind of came over as the executive director, but I fell in love with really the support for families piece. I mean, I have an older son who's 15 who loves to play sports. So I got that Alex didn't really have the opportunity to do a lot of after school programs. He couldn't do the Rush Soccer League and the City T-Ball League because of his meltdowns and his behavior. He was really low muscle tone, couldn't really walk until he was a little older. But I really, on the flip side, I personally was drawn to the support for families piece. I mean, just to know that I wasn't alone, what to expect for the future, and just have support for people that knew the therapy, surgery, medication world. So I definitely am personally vested.
You really sound like it. And you have a big family, right? 4 children?
Right. That would be because my husband wanted 8 children and I wanted 1 child. And so 4 was our compromise. We have 3 boys and a little girl. So they're 15, 12, 8, and 7.
So
And we're
you
kind of,
really understand how important extracurricular activities are, and to be able to make those connections, those friendships, and really be able to thrive in something that's not educational or academic related.
Well, yes. And you think, I mean, I don't know, Will, who's interpreting for us, and you, Allie, how many of us did some kind of sport or arts or activity growing up? I mean, so many of us did. I played golf. My husband's from a small town. He played football and basketball and baseball. And I mean, that's where a lot of the life lessons were taught on cooperation and having good sportsmanship and building social skills and that need. And I think in the culture we live in, sports and activities are so prevalent that it's really a lot of kids with special needs, they see and or a lot of them know what's going on with their neighbors or their peers, and they want those same opportunities. And I mean, now that we are, several years into offering programs, we have seen the tremendous benefit that has come, and self-esteem being boosted, social skills and friendships being forged, and appreciation by even for diversity for our volunteers. We have youth volunteers that come and see that even if a child looks different or acts a little different, you can find common ground, and all of those are found through recreation.
100%. I love that. We're definitely going to get to that volunteer service here in just a little bit because we want to know more about that. But I do want to ask you, what areas do you cover?
Okay, so Community Connections, our programs are offered out in the community, hence the name Community Connections. We partner with local schools and studios and sports complex and libraries to offer programs out where neurotypical youth would be participating in sports.
Okay.
And they're after school and on weekends in Little Rock, Sherwood, Conway, and Russellville.
Okay.
We've looked at Saline County. We've actually looked a little bit at Northwest Arkansas, but the River Valley, we have a pretty large presence there. Conway is where programs started, and then we branched out to Little Rock and Russellville based on need when we had parents that were driving 45 to 60 minutes every single week for their son or daughter or grandchild to do a 1 hour soccer program or art class. And so we've broadened that, but now we just have families that come from Pine Bluff and Hot Springs into Little Rock. So we try to meet needs where they're at, but we currently have programs in Little Rock, Sherwood, Conway, Russellville.
Well, that you really just answered my next question. So, if someone is not in those areas, they are able to drive and participate. So, you are not limiting that to the town or the county.
Yeah, and that's kind of what keeps me up at night because I have a child with special needs. So I know it's hard to get up and get to school sometimes in the mornings. Like we want to remove barriers from families, but yes, Community Connections, we welcome kids to participate. They do not have to have a specific diagnosis or any kind of medical paperwork. Our programs are free, which has always been really important to our board of directors. So it's kind of a safe place for families to try an activity for their kiddo to see if it's something that they would like. So no, if people can make it in, I mean, usually our programs, I think the earliest activity we have is our Axe Junior program that has started at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. So kind of 4 o'clock on weeknights, and we do some Saturday and Sunday programs. And we find some more of our folks from out of town will drive in on Saturdays or Sunday afternoons. We do sports clinics on the weekends. We've done tennis on the weekends. So yes, if people can get to us, their child is welcome. And we serve a wide range of different intellectual and developmental disabilities. I mean, we have kids that are nonverbal and immobile in electric wheelchairs. I mean, we have kids that have cerebral palsy and or spina bifida or Down syndrome. We serve a lot of kids on the autism spectrum, which is so varying. But everything from kids that are more physically not as higher functioning all the way to kids with high functioning Asperger's. And or we had a kiddo that is an AB student in school, but had a heart condition, therefore they couldn't play contact sports. So our football program was a place for them to play, and kind of everything in between. So I usually encourage parents or grandparents or guardians of kids that if their child, kind of my mantra is I say, if the city league sports or arts program or the community sports or arts program for whatever's going on with their kiddo wouldn't be a good fit, if it's too competitive and or if their child has some social deficits or anxieties, we are a safe place to give programs a shot. So we just say I mean, one of our mantras is we believe all children deserve the chance to play. So we try to make activities accessible. We put, accommodations in place for whether it's more intellectual or it's more physical, what a kiddo has going on. We try to make it a safe, positive, encouraging environment for them to participate in an after school program.
And I can really testify to that. You guys have always just lived by that motto. It's really the foundation that I have seen that you guys go by, or that you have built on, maybe. My son was in top soccer when he was 4, maybe 3.5, and he's 13 now. So we've been involved in community connections for a long time. And when you say every child deserves to play, you had a volunteer that was helping with top soccer come over and approach my neurotypical daughter who had been sitting on the bench just there to support her brother every Saturday. And they asked her if she wanted to be a volunteer. So she was able to go out on the field and make friends. And she was very young at that age. So anytime that she has been there, she's been able to help make new friends. And that's really been a staple with her growing up, and it's really helped her in school. She's always been the child that was able to befriend anyone, stand up to bullying. She was able to really approach the bullying policy inside of her school because she wanted to make sure that every student, even the students with disabilities, knew where to go if they were being bullied. She wanted it all wrote out in that concrete language, and I really um would like to give that credit or a little bit of it to community connections because someone else other than her parents were able to teach her that that was the right thing to do.
I am so encouraged to hear that. I don't know if we get much credit, but I do know that it's a very common struggle for parents of children that have special needs and they have children that do not necessarily have a diagnosis. And I mean, a lot of the challenges, the fact that a lot of times kids that are neurotypical are held to a different standard than our kiddos with special needs. I know we certainly, have to address with Alex has younger siblings and older siblings and have to talk about why he's not in trouble for doing something that they have a consequence for. But something we do love about community connections, and we've had to navigate it through the years, that we really want to be a place where siblings can participate in something together, because there's so much that separates them. If a brother or sister is able to play on the tennis team or go play basketball or play football, but our child with special needs can't, or our child with special needs is going to therapy sessions and or going to doctor's visits, they're separate. And so I know we get the feedback that there's not a lot that draws the kids together outside of the home, playing in the backyard and that kind of thing. So I love seeing families get to kind of work together.
Tell us
Thanks
a
for
little bit
sharing.
about the programs that you guys
Okay, so Community Connections, we offer basketball, soccer, theater, art, cheerleading, flag football. We have tennis, golf, swim. We have sports camps. We do martial arts. We have what we call the Autism Resource Center of Arkansas. So that's our only thing that's not exactly a program, but it's resources that we provide. We do educational support workshops. We have a resource library of books and materials that we will loan out free of charge anywhere around the state. We have a young adult social group that was birthed several years ago because our programs start age 3 and up. Well, these kids grow up and they get older and then they graduate high school and then they lose their support blanket and network of even being a public school system. And so we have found a tremendous need for the teens and the young adults to feel connection and have community. So we have a young adult group that meets once a month. We have a teen game group. So it is, kind of 12 to 18 where the teens get together to do activities. And then we do bowling. I'm trying to think, we've just grown. And I will say, and for anyone who is listening, every single one of our programs that has started has been because there's been an individual. Sometimes it's a parent, sometimes it's a community member, sometimes it's a kiddo that says, hey, I really love bowling. Have you ever thought about doing bowling, or fill in the blank? And we think where there's a will, there's a way. I've always been extremely thankful that we do not have a lot of red tape with community connections. If there's an idea and there's a need for something that would be helpful for kids, we try to look for a way to make it happen. We are volunteer led. So all of our programs, I think we have 17 programs if you look on our website. Um, they're led by community volunteers. Some are therapists, some are teachers, some are business owners, some are parents, but they're individuals that have a passion for tennis, for example, and want to make tennis available and adaptable to kids with special needs.
Okay, we actually have a question, and it comes from Tanner Maxwell. He says, "Does Community Connections offer any music programs, and are y'all willing to expand around Arkansas?"
Tanner, I love that question. It was so good to see you the other day. We have offered music in the past. I will say our programs are in different cities at different times. So we don't have all 17 activities going at the same time in Russellville, Conway, Little Rock, Sherwood. We've done it in Little Rock and we've done music in Conway. And we actually were slated to do both this spring at the University of Central Arkansas, which then closed down. So we weren't allowed to do music there. But music, we know, is such a great creative outlet for individuals. And so, Tanner, you're in Russellville, I know. And yes, the answer is yes, we would be absolutely willing to start music in areas. So if individuals have, I mean, it really starts with finding someone who is interested in music who could lead it as a program director. But we do music, so we don't know exactly what our fall lineup will be. I know Jessica Nichols, who's our director of programs, is avidly working with our program directors on what our even late summer. We're trying to do some programs late summer. We're ready to get back to it as soon as it is safe and legal to offer programs.
How have you guys been handling this, the COVID-19?
It's been really interesting. I'll just be candid for anyone who's tuning in now or if this is posted later. I was really pretty discouraged when, well, the week before spring break, I thought, oh, we're out of school for 2 weeks. This is no big deal. It's going to blow over. Then we had spring break. And then when after spring break, we found out school was closed and we were not going to be able to offer programs, I started kind of feeling like, well, first of all, we do recreational programs, which are not vital services. And I felt like, man, that puts us on the back end. We also serve a minority population. And I thought, gosh, our programs and our needs and community connections was going to seem obsolete to some, just kind of the first to go. I mean, we're not Walmart providing food and milk and eggs and bread to people, but we put out a family survey that week of spring break, and we had overwhelming response of parents that really were struggling. I mean, I can absolutely personal attest to it for anyone listening out here. This is my anecdotal story is my son Alex. We're trying to deal with medicine changes. And so last week, in one of his just finer moments, he's very impulsive and ADHD. He took his sister's sweatshirt and threw it out the window down the interstate. It wasn't the interstate, it was Dave Ward Drive in Conway when we were trying to go for a Sonic drink, like just not knowing how to handle the lack of routine, lack of schedule, internal stress. So on this survey, we found that the support for families piece was going to be really big for us. And so we've done a couple things. One, and for anyone interested, we are doing parent caregiver support Zoom calls every Monday night at 8 o'clock. And we have moms from and dads all from all over the state. So that's not even just specifically Little Rock or Conway or Russellville. So information is on our Community Connections Facebook page and Instagram page, but people can tune in any Monday night, come as you are, don't have to RSVP, hop on the call. And we talk for an hour and a half. And that has been really good to kind of share ideas and just connect with other parents and caregivers that are going through similar struggles. We have a teen young adult Zoom call that we do every Thursday from 6 to 7 because that's what we found. It's that age group that is used to seeing friends at school and, access to technology and are doing it. Those have been really neat. Thursday weekly Zoom calls. Anyone is welcome to get on those. And then we are sending out care boxes to some of our more vulnerable families, which we think my kids are kind of over all of the toys that they've played with. We're not really going to the store and buying things. So we've put together kinetic sand and Play-Doh and slime and coloring books and activity books that we've been taking and delivering to porch doorsteps We had gotten a grant through the Community Foundation to do that. And we've applied for another, and we want to extend that to just try to meet people where they're at. And then I think a lot of groups are doing this. We're having our program directors go live, and they're doing soccer drills or art projects on line. So on Instagram and on Facebook, people can tune in to do activities at home. My heart kind of bleeds for, I'm a little bit over the technology. Like, we're on technology right now. Like, I want to see people face to face and do activities face to face. So right now we're also doing those care boxes, and then just avidly planning toward the summer. I mean, it's kind of the hardest, the hurry up and wait, try to put a plan in place to wait to open up registration. But I know a lot of our families, their kids are pretty ready as soon as it's safe to get back into community.
Wonderful.
Will, am I going too fast? Okay, I would say our website has a lot of information. It has info on every one of those programs I mentioned. It also has a link to our weekly email newsletter. So our website is communityconnectionsar.org. So our organization is Community Connections, and it's communityconnectionsar.org. On the bottom of the homepage, there's a link to subscribe to a weekly email newsletter. So if you're like me, I might see something on Facebook and think I'm going to go do that, and then just forget about it. And I need like continual reminders of what is going on. So email has been, a lot of families say it's good because you can delete it easily or forward it. But our email newsletter has about 1,800 people that it goes to. So if anyone is just thinking, I want more info on this young adult group, I would like to be reminded when we have Zoom calls and that kind of thing, they could go to our website and subscribe to the newsletter. We do have a Facebook account. It's Community Connections AR. And then we have an Instagram account, so social media. But our website would be the go-to. My contact info is all on our website. My cell phone is out on the interwebs. Like, I am happy to talk to and help families however we can. If anyone is interested in volunteering, there's a link to sign up to be a volunteer. There's a donation page and how you can sign up. If you would want to link your Kroger card, to support Community Connections, all of that is on our website. So I would recommend people check that out.
Great. We really appreciate you coming on today and giving us all of these resources, and we can't wait to talk to you again.
Thank you for what you do. And do you hear the lawnmower and the cars? I mean, this is life. All the professional calls are not so professional these days, I feel like.
It really is, but we're all in this together, and we're just doing what we can.
And Allie, I'm looking at the questions. I know we have to hop off here, but support continue when things go back to normal. You know what? I think so. My husband has said, and I don't know if this is original, but he has said that he sees that a lot of businesses and individuals kind of fall into two camps. He sees that some are kind of going into survival mode, like hunker down, save your money, save your resource, ride out the storm until things go back to a sense of normal. And then there's some groups that are just being innovative and changing the way they do things. I mean, example, businesses that used to make Scotch tape, now making masks. And so we are really striving toward innovation, like not doing things just because it's the way we've always done it. But we have clearly seen that these support calls have been helpful and good. And so I think that they will continue, because really, when we're all over Central Arkansas, sometimes it's from the comfort of your own home at 8 o'clock at night is when you can connect. So we would like to continue family support. That was a great question.
We've got a lot of family members that are in the West Memphis area and just down south that don't have the opportunity to have the resources that we do, per se, in Little Rock. So we want to make sure that we can share that with them. So if they're not able to get into an activity, we would love for them to be able to, hop on that support call, like you said, or even, their teens to be able to make it into their own support group.
Yeah.
So
thank you for all you do. Thank you for having me on.
Yes, we love that you're able to share these resources, and that's what it's all about. We're better together, and we want to change the way our communities interact with each other. We want to grow our state to its maximum potential. So thank you so much. We appreciate you.
Thank you, guys.
Have a good day, everyone. Tune in next week for Food for Thought Friday.